Hey guys, so I have some extracts that I have to make, and every time that I have a bunch at once that I need to make, I try to hop on here. I have 3 that I need to make, but I think I'm out of one of them, so I might have to order it. So I'm just gonna make 2 for now. I wanted to start first by explaining some things to you before I start making the extracts. I, for legal reasons, call them extracts, okay? And here's the thing. The ones that I sell on my website, they're tinctures. A tincture is always an extract, but an extract is not always a tincture. And so what this means is that, because I've had a couple of people asking me about this the past few days, and I actually just had a conversation with someone about glycerites. Extracts are when you take an herb and you put it into a liquid of some sort, a menstruum, it's called, menstruum, I believe it's 2 U's, and you extract the herbal medicinal properties from it. Now, each menstruum that you put it in is going to extract different kinds of properties. So, like, for example, if you use vodka, you're going to be extracting the alcohol-based medicinal properties and the water-based medicinal properties, because vodka has water and alcohol in it. If you make an extraction for oil, I don't know why, every time I make a video, my nose always itches. It's so weird. But if you do like an oil-based extraction, you're going to get the oil-based medicinal properties from the herbs. If you make a glycerin, it's also known as a glycerite. People use vegetable glycerin, and you make a glycerin extraction. A lot of people will do it for kids because it's glycerin, vegetable glycerin, sweet, and they don't want to use the alcohol for the kids. But if you want a tincture and you want to use it for the kids, there's ways. You can message me. You can just burn off the alcohol, put it in like a cup of like hot water, let it sit for like 10-15 minutes. It'll burn off the alcohol and the flavor, and you won't have to worry about it. So these are all different types of extracts. So when I say extract, what I actually mean is a tincture. And the reason I say extract is for legal purposes. I'm in a state where there's a fine line of what you can and can't say on your website. And I, just to be safe, I call them extracts, but they're tinctures. I make tinctures. When I put them on my website, they are tinctures. They're herbs infused in alcohol. Hey! And now, a lot of people are concerned because they're like, you know, what if you're a recovering alcoholic? What if you don't want your kids to have the alcohol? The amount of alcohol that you're taking, so let me show you. I'm going to grab you one of mine, okay? And you'll see. So, this is my holy basil. I take this every day. The amount of alcohol, so you're going to, when I squeeze it out, I'm going to squeeze about that much into my cup, which is probably about 15 drops. All right. The amount of alcohol you're getting from this dosage that I just took is about the same amount of alcohol that you're going to eat in a fermented banana. So like a banana that's been sitting on your counter for like a couple of days and is starting to turn a little brown. Because when fruits ferment, they form alcohol. It's like ethyl alcohol. I think it is something like that. So you're getting like the same amount of alcohol as you would if you were to eat a banana. So that's what you're giving your kid. It's not a lot. You're not giving, okay, so also let me address this too. Some herbalists tell you to put extracts, when you take the drops, that you're taking your Tulsi, you want to take your drops. This is my personal one, so I'm not like messing with someone's. And they tell you to put it under your tongue and let it sit for a minute. The skin under your tongue, your mouth in general, skin is very sensitive. You don't have to do that. You don't have to suffer. You don't have to burn yourself. You don't have to taste the disgusting taste of the alcohol sitting in your mouth for 30 seconds. You can just put it in a cup of juice or water. I put like that much water in my cup in the morning, in the night, and I add all my extracts to it at the same time, and I just drink it down, and that's how I take mine. You're gonna, especially if you're buying an extract from someone who uses anything higher than like 80 proof alcohol. I use 80 proof in all the extracts that I sell on my website because I don't want you guys to burn yourselves or have to suffer. But some people choose to use Everclear. That's their prerogative. I'm not judging. I personally just don't use that, because think about like if you were to take like 10 drops of Everclear and put it under your tongue, like that's, yeah. So I just wanted to address that before I started with this. So today I am making an extract. I'm making a tincture. I'm making a vodka infused tincture. Okay. And when you are making your tinctures, don't go out and buy some crazy expensive vodka thinking, you know, that it's gonna be better. it's all the same. As long as you have a clear alcohol, it's going to infuse what you need. There's no reason to waste a ton of money on expensive alcohol. I actually had someone who said, she was like, how come when I purchased an extract from you, it tasted more mild, and the one that I made myself tasted more like alcohol, more potent alcohol. And we came down to the conclusion that because of the brand she bought, it was a more expensive brand, which, don't get me wrong, the alcohol she bought, good alcohol. But it's a more expensive brand, so it's going to have more like flavor to it, whereas the less expensive brands, sorry, my daughter's just like screaming in the background. It just comes with the video. But yeah, just use the cheapest kind. I get sea ice. It's $11.99 for a gallon of it. I get 1 64-ounce jar out of this, or 2 of the 32-ounce jars out of this. And this is 80 proof, and when I do 80 proof vodka, I don't have to worry about any of that math, getting it down to like, having to worry about getting it down to like if I was to buy, you know, Everclear, I don't have to do the math of bringing it down and diluting it and stuff like that. This, I just use it as 80 proof. It's good. It's not going to burn anybody in their mouth if they take it. And again, the only time you really need to do drops under your tongue is if it's for something like you need quick, like you want it to get right into your bloodstream because there's veins under your tongue, and something like anxiety, a panic attack, something like that, you could do under your tongue for like quick, like, you know, you want it quick. But otherwise, if you're taking something for like cortisol levels or depression or blood pressure, stuff like that, you don't need that quick response. You can just put it in your water, just let your body absorb it. So, okay. Making an extract. Certain ones I make more of. I'm actually out of these big jars. I have to buy more. So I'm just going to make one big one today. And I think I'm going to do oregano. So I have my oregano. I'm using dried. You can use fresh oregano. If you don't grow your own oregano, you can get it at the grocery store. Just look for organic. There's lots of places that sell close. If you're going to play that game and you're going to scream at it, please go to mommy's room, okay? It's clean sheet night. Go sit on the clean sheets. So I'm going to just take my jar and I'm going to fill it, because it's like a dried, just like a leaf and stem, I'm going to fill it about 1/5 to 1/4 of the way with oregano. And you're going to fill it up. I do it the folk way. You don't have to do it this way. There's 2 different ways. You can do it the folk way. Hey. You can do it the folk way, or you can do it where you actually measure out the exact amount of herb you put in there. So like if I was to do it the modern way, I guess not the folk way, I would figure out what amount I want in my jar, take it out, weigh it, and then from that point on, anytime I make this in the future, I can just weigh that amount, put it in the jar, and I know every time I make it that I'm going to have the same amount in there. But I eyeball it, and if you notice, it's like kind of up to that line. I'm good. And I kind of do that same amount every time. So I think after making it for as long as I have, I can just kind of eyeball it, and I know that's the folk way, is where you kind of just are eyeballing it. It's not like a precise, but I think I've made hundreds of these, so like I'm kind of at that point where I can. If you're new in your beginning and you feel comfortable weighing it, like I said, if you want to set a standard for yourself, just put in there how much you think you need, 1/4, 1/5, 1/3, and then just pour it onto a scale, weigh it, see how many grams it is. I go by grams because it's the most like precise. And see how many grams you have, and then mark on a sheet, say this is how many grams used to make this one. And for in the future, when you go to make your oregano extract, you know how many grams to put in there, and you're gonna have the same thing each time. And it's just, remember, write down what size jar you put it in too. So if you're putting in like 80 grams and you put it in like a 64 versus a 32 ounce, it's going to be a little different. But so then you're just going to take your 80 proof vodka and you're just going to pour. And while I'm pouring, I'm going to tell you about some oregano benefits, because I don't want to sit here and bore you while you watch me pour vodka. Oregano is my go-to antibiotic. I would never, ever take oregano daily as like a maintenance type of thing, like a daily maintenance thing. I would only take it as needed. I treat it personally as an antibiotic. So like an antibiotic, you only take when you need it for infections, 10 to 14 days. I take it 3 to 4 times a day. I would say if you have an active infection, 4 times a day, and I would do 15 drops. That's just me. Dosing is a little weird. Some people, depending on your height, your weight, it might be a little more. You might need a little less if you're smaller. If you're unsure, you can always message me and we can kind of talk and work and figure out the dosing together. But the one I gave you is a pretty general dose. Oregano is really great. Also, it's an antiviral. It's also, I was just telling someone about this earlier today, it's great for staph infections. So if you have someone or you get staph infections, it's really great. It's great for antiviral. So like I have it actually in the chapstick that I make on my website. I have an antiviral lip balm and I put oregano in it. And if you notice that you get like a cold sore coming on, you put it on it, the chapstick, oregano, antiviral, it's gone like really quickly. So I really just mainly treat it and use it as an antibiotic though. You can also infuse it into an oil if you're feeling brave. And again, if you decide to do that and you have questions, you can always message me. And you can make yourself an antibiotic. I actually make one and I have it on my website. It's an antibiotic balm. And what it is you take beeswax to a certain, I'll make a video on how to make salves and balms and the difference between the two. It's just a matter of how much you beeswax you use in each one, because a salve goes deeper, so you want less beeswax, whereas a balm is more topical, so you want more beeswax, so it like stays topical, it doesn't absorb as quickly. It's more for like surface things, so you're gonna want like a antibiotic balm. So you infuse, instead of vodka, you do the same thing, but instead of vodka, you just use olive oil. And then you let it again infuse for 6 weeks. You strain it out. So I'm gonna cap this off. Okay, you'll notice you see the entire bottle is gone. I used an entire bottle on this. Always, always, always make sure that you label your jars, because I joke about this a lot, but I can't tell you how many times I've made something and I'm like, oh, I'll just label it tomorrow. And I put it somewhere to remember to label tomorrow. It's like when you have something, you're like, oh, I'm just going to put this here so I never forget where it is. And then you forget where you put it and you go looking for it like a month later and you're like, where did I put it? It's one of those type of situations. So I'm just going to write dry oregano so I know if it's fresh or dry. And I'm going to put what my menstruum is. So in vodka. I don't write 80 proof vodka on my label because I only use 80 proof vodka. So I know that it doesn't matter if I write it on the label because it's all I ever use it. So I don't have to worry about that. So dry oregano and vodka. And then you're going to put the date. Today is 1/14/25. And then I'm also, you don't need this, but if you do decide to start a business with your herbal business, you need batch numbers because you need to be able to reference, like if you guys ever buy, an herb from me or like an extract, you'll notice on it I put the batch number, so it's batch 44. So like if you have an issue with it or there's something wrong with it, you contact me and I know that I can check my batch to make sure something, it's just a business legality thing. If you're not going to do an herbal business, don't even worry putting a batch number on it. You don't need to. So for now I'm just going to put dry oregano in vodka, the date I did it. You're going to put the label on. Some people say that you should invert it every day, shake it. They say shake it. I don't shake my stuff. I don't know why. I'm weird. I know that like when you have honey in a jar and you shake it, it can be a disaster. Or if you have like this whole thing with hot water, and I was doing Mullein infusions for like for cough. Like long story, hot water jar explosion. So I don't shake stuff anymore. I invert. So you don't have to do this every day. Sometimes what I'll do is like if I'm walking by, how cool does that look? I don't know why that looks so cool to me. Even my dog Abby came up to me. She's like, that looks so cool, Mom. I don't know why. But I invert it. I don't shake things anymore because it can go very bad. But yeah, so you're just going to take this and the itchy nose, man. I don't know what it is. You're going to take this. You're going to put it in a warm, dark place for 6 to 8 weeks. Usually 6 weeks is good. You can even start taking off of it at 4 weeks if it's for personal use. I like to let it sit a little longer because I sell mine. And I just want to be careful and make sure I give you guys like the strongest, best thing you can have. If it's something like seeds, roots, berries, more dense type of the plant, I let it sit for 8 weeks. And the reason is because with those type of things, because they're more dense, it's harder to break down the cellular structure and pull out those medicinal properties. It takes a little bit longer, I feel like. So I give it a little extra time to brew and kind of pull that goodness out of there. So this is oregano extract and we're done. Like, it's literally that simple, guys. Fill the jar up a quarter to a fifth of the way, depending. Usually with the more dense things, I only do a fifth. With the dried herbs, I do a quarter. And with fresh herbs, I just fill the jar, pack them down, and fill it up with vodka. There's really no like, oh, did I put too much? Because if you think about it, the vodka is going to absorb what the vodka can absorb. If you put too much, the only thing you're doing is just taking up extra space, so there's less room for vodka in there. But the vodka has a max capacity that can absorb. So you really can't put too much herb. It's just going to take up extra space, really. You can put too little and then you'll have a weaker one, but you can't put too much. So with the fresh, I just fill it all the way up. You'll see there's lots of gaps in between, and I, just gently pack it down, fill it up with vodka. Okay, so there's our oregano. Now I'm going to take, what did I have? There it is. Ashwagandha root. And this is something I actually take every day. I don't know if you guys remember, but like, for those of you who are newer with me, you probably wouldn't remember this, but about a year ago, I was like, I was really sick, and doctors could not figure out for the life of me. They could not figure out what was wrong with me. They did all sorts of tests. I went to all sorts of specialists. They couldn't figure out why my joints hurt, my muscles hurt. I had body aches, extreme fatigue, no energy. I was tired all the time. I wasn't sleeping good. I was waking up constantly. I was peeing a lot at night, not to be gross. I had no appetite. And they did all these tests on me, and they were like, well, we're going to say that you have fibromyalgia. And I was like, but isn't that like a blanket term for just like unidentifiable pain? So, and the doctor's like, no, it's an official diagnosis. I was like, yeah, for unidentifiable pain. So essentially what you're telling me is you're giving me a blanket diagnosis for like not being able to figure out what's wrong with me. And he was like, no, that's not how it is. And I said, okay, well, what's wrong with me then? And what's causing the pain that creates fibromyalgia? And he just kind of looked at me and he goes, well, the diagnosis is fibromyalgia. I was like, okay. He's like, did you want pain meds? I was like, no, I'm good. He's like, well, just come back in 3 months if it's not gone. I was like, all right, thanks, doc. But, so anyway, I came home and I watch a lot of like podcasts with like doctors and scientists and stuff like that. And there was a guy who was talking one day, and I was sitting and I listened to him while I'm like filling orders and stuff like that. And he was like, yeah, man, I noticed that like I had all these body aches, all these joint aches, muscle aches, essentially the fibromyalgia symptoms. And he's like, but I was watching a video of myself and my face was swollen. I was retaining water. And that was another symptom I had. And he was like, man, let me tell you, when I tested my cortisol levels, they were through the roof. He was stressed out. It was stress. My doctor's never tested my cortisol. So to reduce my cortisol, I started taking Tulsi, holy basil. Tulsi, it's called. It's also known as holy basil. And I started taking ashwagandha root. And I used to work at a pharmacy for 5 years. I was on SSRIs for the last like 15 years. I was unhappy with how it made me feel, like blah, gross, ick. So I stopped taking them and I started taking ashwagandha. Ashwagandha root is a regulator. It's a mood regulator. And the only thing about ashwagandha is it's not immediate. Okay. So I just want to warn you guys, if it's something you decide to start taking with ashwagandha, it can take 2 days to start working, but it can also take 2 weeks to start working. So some people notice right away. Some people it takes a little time. If you decide to start taking it, just be patient. It'll come around. Trust me. I noticed within a couple days that I started to feel a little more like less moody, less agitated. I was more patient with my children. And trust me, I have 4 kids. They can push my nerves. Child. But no, so with this it was great because I found that I wasn't getting as frustrated as easily. I was not feeling those really low lows where you wake up and you're like, I just wish I could just lay in bed and shut my eyes and just not exist for the day, those days that you have. I know not everyone has those, but for those of you who can understand, I'm sure you get what I mean. Unfortunately, I'm sorry about that, but it's the reality of some people's lives. And this ashwagandha root saved me. This and the tulsi. Between the tulsi, which lowered my cortisol levels, my stress. So when your body is stressed out, you create cortisol. And the more stressed you are, the more cortisol your body creates. And when those levels get too high and stay too high for too long, you start to have physical symptoms. And some people call this fibromyalgia. Fibromyalgia can also be a vitamin D3 deficiency. I think it's D3. So if you decide to try and start somewhere, you could take D3 with K2. You need the two of them to supplement each other. That way you have enough of one and it'll make it so the other absorbs properly. So if you have fibromyalgia, try D3 and K2. If that doesn't work, try Tulsi and ashwagandha. And guys, it changed my life. I will scream from the rooftops forever that people should take ashwagandha and tulsi. Okay, so what do I suggest for a child who won't poop? Because what age are we talking about, child? Because it depends. You could take any kind of mucinogen. So like licorice root, I would say is probably better for an adult. Adult could do like licorice root tea or extract. Or you could just keep like an extract around, so you could just take it and not have to worry about brewing tea anytime you have an issue. For a kid, I would say, depending on the age, I would say like marshmallow root extract. I had a jar of it on my table and I think I put it away. 7 mallow root extract, marshmallow root extract. I don't know. Do I have it on my I don't think I have it on my website. If it's something you need and you want it, just let me know. Shoot me a message and I can get it for you. Anyway, if you get it local, that's totally cool too. But mallow root extract, I would do 7 years old. I would start with like 6 drops. I would say 3 to 4 times a day. It's a pretty quick acting herb. And what it's going to do is it's going to make their body start to create more mucus, and it's going to make things slip and slide, and not in an unpleasant way. It's not uncomfortable. It's just a very natural, like everybody that I've suggested it to who came back to me was like, it just worked very quickly, same day. It wasn't uncomfortable, it didn't cause cramping, nothing like that. It just was a nice, comfortable, and marshmallow root extract is it's very mild, so I feel like it's something I wouldn't take it every day. Take it until the problem is resolved and maybe an extra day or two, and then once you get to that point, then stop, see how things go, and then you can kind of don't even worry about the taste. Marshmallow root extract is actually originally what they used to make marshmallows, until they found synthetic stuff that they could use that was cheaper to mass produce, like corn syrup, like what's that syrup that they use? High fructose corn syrup. But it's actually very mild. And with the taste, put it in some juice. They won't even know you're giving it to them. Get like a little cup of juice. With my kids, I give them like a little cup of juice, like that much. I put the drops, water. You can even put it in water, whatever they prefer, and they won't even know you're giving it to them. You don't have to put it under their tongue. You don't have to put it in their mouth. Just put it right in their juice, and they won't even know. I promise you, they won't even taste it. Put it in like a stronger juice. I wouldn't put it in like a mild, like iced tea. I wouldn't put it in something like that. I would put it in something like cran grape, or like something a little more, like with a stronger taste to it, like fruit punch, something like that. And they won't even know. A couple times a day and you should be good to go. And then if you need help with any questions on dosing or anything like that, or it's not working, or which I don't think it wouldn't, you just shoot me a message and we'll talk more about it. But so ashwagandha root, I'm gonna make this because I actually need to re-up my thing too. I buy mine from Star West Botanicals because they're local, United States. So I was actually talking to someone about this today too. Buying herbs, you got to be careful where you order from. It's like all my stuff that I buy is from the United States, all my herbs. When you buy herbs or extracts from other countries, you need to be careful because other countries have different regulations as to what they allow their farmers or like herb growers to put on their herbs, and their safety standards are a little different from ours. So unless you know the country you're ordering from and you know what their laws are, or you actually can message them and ask them like, what's your protocol for your herbs, like what are you putting on them, like I wouldn't. And nothing against China. I wouldn't buy anything from China. And it's not because I don't like China. It's because I've heard and read that their standards are very different from ours. And when I do herbs, I get organic, local, Star West Botanicals, Frontier Co-op. They're really great. That's where I get most of mine. And they're great because they come in, like this is Star West. You can see. Star West Botanicals. They come in these cool bags, so your herbs aren't exposed to light. Light deteriorates medicinal properties. Not a lot, but enough to where, like, you know, you shouldn't be getting herbs in clear bags. If you buy an herbal extract from wherever you buy it from, and it comes to you in a clear bottle, send it back. Do not buy an extract from anyone who sells it to you in a clear bottle. Okay? That's why whenever you hear me say, like, put your thing away for 6 weeks in a warm, dark place. Unless you're covering your bottles, you want it somewhere dark, in like a cabinet or a pantry, somewhere that you're not getting a lot of light, because light deteriorates the medicinal properties relatively quickly. So if you get an extract and it comes in one of these, but they're clear, return it. You don't know how long it's been sitting in there. You don't know how long it's been exposed to light. And it's just, you want to get what you're paying for. I've seen people who do sell them, and they sell them in the clear ones, and I don't understand why. So if you're making extracts and you're storing them, store them in. You can even buy, like, if you want to be super extra and like awesome. I'm not that awesome yet. I've looked into them, but I'm like, wow, they're a little bit extra pricey wise. You can even buy the jars that are like amber jars. If you're only making a couple extracts, it's not bad paying the extra to avoid having to, like, you know, if you don't have a dark place to put them. I personally keep mine in a really dark place, and I have, if I could just show you guys how many, I have like 100 of these jars of all different types of herbs. All the herbs I have aren't even up on my website. I have herbs that aren't even up on my website because I just haven't put them up there yet. Every now and again I add them. Like I just added goldenrod, which is great for like UTI, bladder infections. It's a diuretic, so if like you're retaining water. So instead of taking something like hydrochlorothiazide, which would, you know, get rid of water, ditch the hydrochlorothiazide with all the added crap in it and get yourself a diuretic like goldenrod, or like even milk thistle is good. I'm trying to think of what are some other ones. I know other ones. I'm drawing a blank. But yeah, get yourself some of those. So because this is a root, we don't need to put as much ashwagandha root. And because it's more dense, we're going to let it sit for 8 weeks, right? Because if you're doing like a leaf or like a stem or a flower, 6 weeks will do the trick. If you're doing a root, a seed, a berry, stuff like that, I would let it sit for the full 8. So, I mean, I've got like a fifth, a little more than a fifth maybe, of the jar of ashwagandha root. Eee! She's like, eee! And then we're going to take our 80 proof cheap vodka, because you don't need expensive vodka. $11.99. Thank you. Give me 1 minute, okay? And you're just going to fill it up. It's not scary. It's not hard. You can absolutely do it. If you do it and you're nervous about something happens, message me. I'm always here. I might not answer right away, but I will always get back to you. Like I've had people who make extract. Like I had someone who made burdock root, and they messaged me and they're like, there's like a white foam at the top and it looks really crazy, and they sent me a picture, and stuff like that happens. And it's a probiotic, which is, it's great that it happened, because you get that extra probiotic action that you wouldn't normally get with some herbs. It's just, it happens sometimes when you make burdock root. Certain herbs, different ones, it can happen too, where it gets like a white, like a foam on it. Not all of them though. So if you're not sure, if things look weird, if you're nervous, message me. If you don't know how to do dual extracts, message me. I try to make as many videos as I can so you guys can go back and reference them. I also want to add, you guys, I just started uploading a lot of my videos, especially the longer form ones, to my YouTube channel. I've been kind of slack and lazy. And I'm gonna let this sit for a second, absorb some of the alcohol, and then I'll top it off again. I've been adding them to my YouTube video. I have shorts that are up there. They're 1.5 minute videos of like some of the things like I've done about how to make a turmeric extract, the benefits of it, how to make a Tulsi extract to reduce cortisol, the benefits of it. And then I have longer ones that you can just sit and like put on in the background when you're doing dishes or cooking. And they're about like 40 minutes to an hour, kind of like this one, like live videos. So I'm probably gonna do a live video like this every week and put it up there. And then throughout the week, I'll keep adding my shorts up there too. So you can just kind of like listen to them in the background if like you're driving or whatever. So my YouTube is at 4 Hearts Apothecary. And my main picture is like a little caricature of me. And I'm like, and I've got my little bun. I actually had, it's funny because years ago, I think it was like 10, 15 years now, I had somebody draw that out for me and make it into like the type of format that I needed for my YouTube channel. And I never thought that here I am 15 years later and with the same bun. Old habits die hard. But so yeah, that's my YouTube. If you could go there and subscribe, watch some videos, I would greatly appreciate it, because if, God forbid, I ever do get kicked off of Facebook for oversharing, I don't know. I just had a guy say, he was like, I hate your channel and you made me angry and say false things, so I reported you. I wonder how many times I get reported a day. So if I ever do go away, I want you guys to be able to find me. I am on YouTube at 4 Hearts Apothecary. I'm also on the Rumble app, and it's a free app. I'm also, I think it's at 4 Hearts Apothecary there as well. But you'll see the picture there of me is like the same, I think, as my profile picture on Facebook. You'll see me, and I've got all my videos there. I've got a bunch of them. So I try to upload to those 2 places so that if I do get lost in Facebook land, that I'm still somewhere you guys can find me if you need to. So a subscribe would be amazing. I would appreciate it. So again, I'm going to top this off. Okay, with my 80 proof vodka. Cap it off. Invert, and you can invert, even if you invert it like once a week for the 6 weeks, if you set this in the closet and you never touch it again for those 6 weeks, no big deal. It's not going to be the end of the world. It's still going to work. And you can, it's funny because I just made the oregano and you can already see it's starting to pull out the more volatile parts of the oregano, so like the color of it. You're going to notice that some of your extracts are going to be darker than others, or if you make oregano now and you make it again later, it might be a little darker. It's just oxidization. It's just oxygen in there, and because of the oxygen, it causes it to turn a little brown. It's not a big deal. It's not going to change like much of anything, if like maybe even like a 3% of, I mean, that's not exact math, but like I'm just saying it's such a small amount that it's going to change it. Like if you leave a little extra air in there, that's why I always say top it off as much as you can. You want to leave as little air in there, because that oxidization is going to have oxidization. It's like it's going to happen, and you don't want that. I mean, it's not a big deal. It's not going to be the end of the world. It's not something where you should be like, man, it turned too brown, I should get rid of it. It doesn't make a difference. So you can see this is already pulling out the more volatile parts of the herb, like the colors of it. And then as time goes, it's going to start to break down the cellular structure of the herb. It's going to, you know, on the molecular level, and then it's going to pull all that medicinal goodness out of there for you. And once the 6, for this one, it would be 8 weeks. For the oregano, it's going to be 6, because again, this is more of a dense herb. You are going to let this sit for 8 weeks, and you are going to then strain out the root, and you're going to have a full jar of ashwagandha root extract. And if you're just making this for yourself or your family, I would suggest starting with 16-ounce jars, because you guys, you're taking drops, like 15 drops at a time. You have to understand, like, there's so much of this in here, and you don't realize, like, when I first started out, I started making things in like these big jars, and I'm like, oh my God, I didn't realize like how long that would last. I mean, now things are busier with my business, so I go through them relatively quickly. But like, if it's just for you and your family, you only need a 16-ounce jar, just a tiny little jar. And yeah, so make sure you label it. Sticker. There you go. Dried ashwagandha. And I only use the root, so I don't put root. I do have another, once I put these stickers on here, I do have a book where I have to like put the information, like I put, like I used oregano, I put that it was dried, I put ashwagandha, that it's the root, that it's dried, how much of the jar I filled up. So I do have a whole nother thing that's a whole business aspect of it, but if you guys aren't doing a business, you don't need to know that. Dry ashwagandha in vodka. Again, I only use 80 proof vodka, so I don't need to put 80 proof on there. If you do switch vodkas or menstruums at all, make sure you put, like, if it's in an oil, make sure you put the oil, like sweet almond oil or olive oil. Most people who do oil infusions start off with extra virgin olive oil because it's affordable, and it's just the most common one. And it's the other ones, like sweet almond and like avocado oil, tend to be a little more pricey, and I only really use those for like, so like I think I do rose petals and avocado oil for my anti-aging face cream I do, because it's good for the avocado oil is good for the skin. It's more like, it's less was it the word comedogenic, where it like absorbs and it's very light. It's like a light oil. So it's better, like it's easier absorbable. I don't want my face cream to be heavy, so I use that. But otherwise, olive oil works just as well if you're making like a balm or a salve. And today is 1/14/25. I'm going to leave the batch number off there for now, and I'll fill that after the video. If you guys have questions, oh, you're the best, Bonnie. Thank you. I'm so excited to get it going. I am. I should have started it sooner, but it's just like I have so much on my plate, and I'm trying to think of, I have had people asking me if I would do like a workshop where, like, you know, I have people, you know, I maybe do like a Zoom and people pay a couple bucks and they hop on like $2-3 or something like that, and they can hop on for an hour and I go over all the basics of herbal stuff, and they get to ask questions and stuff like that. I'll have like a question Q&A thing on it. My thing about that is, and I don't mind doing that, I love doing stuff like that. When I used to be an MLM, I used to do Zooms all the time because I had a really big team. But my problem is my screaming children. And I don't want you guys to have to hop on a video that you're paying a couple bucks for and have to sit and listen to my kids screaming. So it's really hard for me to find a time where I'm not around my kids, because I run my business from home. I homeschool my kids, so they are always here. Like, always. Right now my son's upstairs playing on his new gaming laptop that he got for Christmas, so he's not bothering me. Abby is napping. Kate was up early, so he's napping. And now it's just Chloe over here picking her nose and eating her boogers and being loud. So that's where we're at. So you get to listen to Chloe through my videos. Sorry about that. But, hey, psst. Ugh, that's ick. She's like, whatever, Mom, I'll eat my booger. But yeah, so that's gross, Bo. That's gross. Here you go. So yeah, I mean, guys, making extracts, well, tinctures. Making tinctures is not hard. If it's something you're interested in doing, you can go through my videos, and I will, on my videos, I try to be very, like, clear about what each video is about. Like making a turmeric extract. When I say extract, 99% of the time, it's going to be a tincture. That one occasional time, it might be an oil extraction, but it's really rare. Because most of the oils I made really big things of them, and I don't need to make them again, because when I make my salves or my balms, I only use a small amount of the oil, so I still have them. But if you want to make an extract, you can absolutely do it, guys. It's not hard. You literally, if it's a stem, leaf, or flower, you fill the jar up a quarter of the way with the dried herb. If it's a root, berry, something like that, something thick, more dense, a fifth of the jar. Top off the jar with vodka, fill it up with vodka, give it a minute or two to absorb, top it off so there's less air in there, no oxidization. Screw it on tight, label with what's in it, the date, throw it somewhere where you don't have to pay attention to it, and that's dark and warm, and forget it. Or you can just, every day, if you like to play with them, you can look at the funness. And I've had people message me and be like, hey, I found an extract that I made forever ago and I forgot about it. It was like 9 months ago. It's sitting on my shelf. Is it still good? Because I never strained it. Yes, 100%. 100% still good. I have herbs, I make extracts, and most of the time they'll end up, after a while, they'll fall to the bottom. And you can literally, if it's something that doesn't have like tiny hairs like cleavers or mullein, you can actually just, if it's like a root like this, you can just take it right off the top and use it. You can just let it sit in the root. You don't even have to strain it. But my thing is, I fill so many orders that it's just easier for me to strain it, so I can just pour and I don't have to worry about little bits of herb getting in there. So for me, it's just easier, but you don't even have to strain it if it's not something that's going to cause you a problem. And all the herb is sunk down to the bottom, like milk thistle seeds, for example. With milk thistle, you don't even have to strain it until you get like, till the vodka is like right above the milk thistle seeds. You don't want the alcohol level to get lower than the herb that you have, or it can start to mold. You want to make sure that alcohol level stays above your herb. But yeah, you don't, I mean, if it sits there for 2 years, the thing about this is, guys, when you have alcohol, think about a bottle of vodka. How long is a bottle of vodka good in your house for? Right? It's the same thing. You're just putting herbs in it. And especially if you're using dried herbs. So dried herbs are going to, because there's no water content, you're not adding any water content to the vodka. So it's literally shelf stable. Alcohol is shelf stable at 25% alcohol. This is 40% alcohol. So you're good to go for a long time. How long would you let a bottle of vodka sit on your shelf for, right? 10 years? Yeah. The only thing is, with the herb in it, as time goes by, I'd say after 4 or 5 years, it's the same thing with aspirin. If you have expired aspirin, it still works. It's just that date on it is when the medicinal properties of the aspirin start to deteriorate. So little by little, month after month, after year, you're getting, that's why older aspirin, you have to take more of it, like if it's expired, because it still works. It's not bad. There are some prescriptions that this does not work with. I'd say 95% of prescriptions you can just take after they're expired. Like, I get my herbs at Star West Botanicals or Frontier Co-op, and they have websites online, and they have most everything. But okay, here's another debatable thing. Some people say that if you add fresh herbs to your vodka, that it makes it less shelf stable. That is false. The water content in herbs, no matter how much you packed in there, will never, ever be enough to bring a 40% by volume alcohol vodka down to 25%. Because I did the math of it. You would need to add a cup, I think it's one cup to every 3 cups. Because when I do my lion's mane dual extraction, I think it's 1 to 3 or 1 to 4. I want to say 1 to 3. So you'd have to add to 3 cups of vodka, you'd have to add an entire cup of water to get it below shelf stability. That would bring it to shelf stability, like the minimum, 25. You can do 20, but to be safe, 25 is a safe percentage. So there's no amount of fresh herb that contains an entire cup of water in it, water content. Okay, so that's another debatable thing too that you might come across. Don't worry about adding fresh herbs to your vodka and making it unshelf stable. It's just not something you need to worry about. I always encourage fresh herb use if you can. If you can't, there's nothing wrong with that. Order it online, as long as you get it from a reputable company. Again, I use Star West Botanicals and Frontier Co-op. I know that they do sell some of their stuff. Some people resell it on Amazon, so sometimes you can get on Amazon shipped faster. The only thing is they do take a bit of time with shipping. I order bulk, so I don't really have that problem to worry about. But if you're not ordering bulk, you could get it on Amazon, I guess. I don't know. I would read the reviews of the people who bought it and see the quality if you're going to do it through Amazon. Because Frontier and Star West both sell on Amazon too. But actually the companies actually sell on Amazon too. So I've seen Star West Botanicals selling Star West Botanical herbs on Amazon. But I've also seen other companies selling Star West Botanical herbs. I'm guessing they probably bought a ton of it. Because sometimes a lot of companies will have deals where if you buy 2 or more, you get 20% off. So they'll buy a ton of it and then they'll sell it all at regular price and make money that way. You know how people are with Amazon. They get super crafty trying to make money. What's that? Put in the garbage. Thank you. So yeah, I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. If you really want to use fresh and it's winter time, or you just don't have access to it, or you're like me and just can't grow anything for some reason, all my plants die, no matter what I do. Go to your grocery store, look in the organic section, and find yourself some of, you know, the little plastic things you find with the fresh herbs in them? As long as they're organic, you can use those. If you need turmeric root fresh, go to the organic section. They have it there fresh. You don't even need to like skin it or anything. Just chop it up, throw it right in your jar. Same for ginger, same for garlic. Anything you can find in the grocery store in your organic section, you can use with these, because you just don't want the chemicals. You know what I mean? You don't, that's one thing about me, is I just try to make mine as natural as possible so that you guys are just getting the best quality that you can get. So if you guys have any questions, you're always more than welcome to comment. I'm gonna run because Miss Chloe went pee-pee and I have some orders to fill. But thank you guys all for hopping on, and I hope that you learned tons. And if you have any questions, comment, or feel free to message me anytime. I'm always around. I might not get back to you right away, but I will always get back to you. All right? Take care, guys. And you can do this. Don't be freaked out. You got this. All right? Bye.